We're at David Wolfe's talk at Vibe Cuisine Oktoberfest. Or no, October 11th. And this is our first course. We don't know what it is. And some hibiscus, raspberry, lemon, orange blossom tea. So they talk to you. Guess you could take a picture of that.
Team at Veggie Magic and Vibe Cuisine. If everyone could just come forward here. This is Natalia. She's our front of the house manager. Natalia comes to us from Rhode Island, where she was a fabric designer, and she and her husband went raw and decided they wanted this to be their lifestyle, so they moved to Sarasota and came to work with us. You met Adrielle Zonizer earlier, our chef with the hat over there. And then that's Tiny Trevor right there. Trevor was one of the early members of Raw Sarasota, and he's awesome, always creating fantastic, delicious, savory foods for us. And where did we, oh, who do we have? We have Celeria back there, and Jackie over on the right. And where do we have? Primo. Who else is here? Where's Marcos? Oh, we have other people at the market. Yeah, so the rest of them are over at our booth at the Farmers Market. We're at the downtown Farmers Market every Saturday and Siesta Key every Sunday. Siesta Key Farmers Market. If you haven't been there yet, it's awesome. Yeah, last week was the first week. They're really oriented toward green and organic and sustainability. It's so cool. And let's see. This location, Vibe Cuisine, this is our pre-opening celebration where we will probably be officially fully open in late November. We'll be gradually opening up until then, so it's really great to have you here to get the vibe going in this new space. And what else do I want to talk to you about? I think that's about it for the cafe. Does anyone have any questions? I'm glad you enjoyed the food. And so now I would like to introduce our fantastic speaker, David Wolfe. David was one of my original inspirations to go raw back in 2005 when I documented my first 30 days. How many people have seen Supercharge Me here? Most of the crowd, that's so cool. I went to a 2-day lecture with him in Atlanta where he talked almost nonstop for 8 hours each day and then played drums for 3 hours afterward. And I thought, whoa, this guy's got some energy. I'm very interested in this raw food thing. David is heavily featured in the film. You may remember him as the guy with the raw shirt, and he's been a continual source of inspiration for me. And a little bit about David. He's the author of the best-selling books, The Sun Food Diet Success System, Naked Chocolate, Eating for Beauty, and most recently, Amazing Grace, which I still need to get a copy of. And I think all the books are available right at the table here, and also Incredible Chocolate and Superfoods. And David conducts nearly 100 lectures a year all over the world, and we're really lucky to have him here in Sarasota. He spends a lot of time on the West Coast and different places that actually, where you'd expect to have a bigger audience for raw. We're very lucky in Sarasota to have so much interest. And he also hosts at least 6 raw adventure retreats, which I've never been to one, but Ivana has and loves them. I can't wait to go on my first retreat. And the retreats happen in the US, Canada, Europe, the South Pacific, as well as Central and South America. So gorgeous, the most gorgeous parts of the world. And David is the president of the Fruit Tree Planting Foundation, whose mission it is to plant 18 billion fruit trees on the planet Earth.
Wow.
It's pretty exciting, and they're really good at it. And that is a non-profit organization, so if you're looking for something to invest in as far as the health of the planet, that would be a good thing to consider. And when David has a little spare time, he plays drums with his rock and roll band, the Healing Waters Band. And actually, their music is featured in Supercharge Me. David holds degrees in mechanical and environmental engineering, in political science, and he's a JD. He's also, got his law degree, and he has a master's in living food nutrition. He has studied many institutions, including Oxford University. He participates in higher education still as a professor of nutrition for Dr. Gabriel Cousins of the Tree of Life in Patagonia, Arizona. And he teaches a master's program on life and nutrition. He's the middle son of two medical doctors. So he grew up in the medical field, and he said his father didn't really know anything about nutrition. It's interesting. And he also coaches and feeds Hollywood producers and celebrities, as well as some of the world's leading business people and entrepreneurs. And if you remember back in 2004, David starred as Avocado in the reality television show Mad House, which aired on the Science Fiction Channel. So David's has had a very interesting background, and we are just thrilled to have him here with us. David Wolfe.
Thank you. It's a great privilege and honor to be here in this Vibe Cuisine and in the right vibe with all of your great vibes. And we've got everybody here. We've got doctors, we've got hippies, we've got business people, we've got sex therapists, everything. It's the whole deal. So we're going to try to meet and match each one of our needs today, both in a form of food and nourishment in terms of our body, in terms of our emotions, and in terms of our mental and brain wave state. And I think we're going to succeed in doing that. We're all going to be touched by the information that's shared here today because it's far-reaching. It is deep. It goes right deep into the heart, into the sacred heart. It actually opens our sacred heart. And we get in touch with our feelings a lot through food. And this is a way of really opening up our feelings and how we're feeling about ourselves and others and the whole state of the planet. We're going to talk a lot about healing and rejuvenation in a way that's never probably been seen before. We are at a technological revolution in the field of health science. And what we've been able to do is observe mistakes that have been made in the past, objectively, and correct our pathway, and then guide ourselves down a pathway that's probably the most important news in the history of the world. It is, actually, in my opinion. This is by far the best news in the history of the world, because it allows all of us to actually achieve our complete dreams, which is, we can only do that in a state of total pure health. And I was talking to some friends over there earlier about purity and purification, and my friend Dr. Patrick Flanagan says it this way: purity is its own reward. Purity is its own reward. And through pure living, rewards are gifted to you nonstop, all the time, every day, in ways that you can't even conceive of or believe. And some of the ways that I get gifted these things is, I literally have as my written goal, I get thrown the best chocolate ever all the time, forever. That's my written goal, and literally people throw it at me. Like, they just come up and they just like, oh, I'll just dump it into my lap. Oh, no. So that can happen for all of us, and we're going to look at different ways of organizing our diet in a way that's appropriate for us, because everyone's different and everyone has a different lifestyle. We're just going to do the best we can, but we're going to be guiding our way, in a direction that's going to determine a new destination. We know that if we keep going the way that everybody else is going, where are we going to end up? Where everybody else ends up, which is death, pain, fire, destruction, disease, hospitals, and the whole thing. And we don't need that. We can go a different route. We've got an enormous following of individuals across all walks of life who are dedicated to creating a healthy and beautiful planet for all of us. And we can all have it. And we can all have it easily, because what we believed was far is actually very near. What we believed was complex is actually totally easy. What we believed was sophisticated is actually completely simple. And that is the discovery of our times. Because in a technologically complex environment, what happens is that we realize now, especially in the last 10 years, that the great breakthroughs of all time will come from questioning basic assumptions. Questioning basic assumptions. And the big one that we've been questioning, and probably the reason why you're here, is this whole thing about cooking. Should we be boiling, broiling, baking, microwaving, toasting, roasting, everything forever?
No.
We have tried, we just tried. We had literally roaring jaws of factories with furnaces going crazy for 100 years of this, 200, 500, thousands of years. And finally we're like, can we just eat food just right out of the garden originally as it's supposed to be? And that discovery that that's really how it's supposed to be is really profound from a spiritual sense. Because, God didn't mean us to be, we weren't attached to a stove when we were born, I don't think, were we? Was a microwave oven attached? None of those things were part of the picture in the original formation of our embryonic self. What was part of the picture? Mother's milk. Reaching and grabbing different things, right? And what's here naturally is raw and living food, and that's what is meant for us. So amazingly, I've actually been eating raw and living foods for 15 years only. You know what's amazing about that? That I'm still alive. I should be dead right now according to every conventional theory, right? I should be like, my earlobe should have fallen off. Something should have happened. So I just, at a very young age, I was like the black sheep of the family. That's probably everybody in here. You wouldn't get here unless you were like that. And so I was like the black sheep of the family. It's like whatever my mom told me to do, I didn't do it. Whatever she told me not to do, I did it. I lived. But fortunately, because of that, I was able to see an opportunity at a very young age. When I was in my 20s, early 20s, I saw that, whoa, this whole thing of live food came right here. And I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. This is my destiny. And I just took action immediately. I actually had no choice. And I started doing events right away. I remember my first event for 100 people. I remember doing an entire practice the night before. And I thought, whoa, okay, I'm going to go out there and I'm just going to do exactly what I did tonight. I went out there and I forgot everything that I was supposed to do. This whole disaster, but I somehow worked my way through it. Now I don't ever prepare for any event because every single group, every audience is a unique audience. We all have unique needs, and I see if I can tune into that so we can guide our conversation in a way that's appropriate for all of us. One of the things that is appropriate for all of us living here in paradise is that this is actually paradise. People are not getting on boats and ships and life preservers to get to Siberia. People aren't trying to jump over fences to get to Poland. They're trying to get out of Poland. Sorry, Mom. Right? Where are they trying to get to? People are jumping on rafts over in Cuba to get where? Here. What's here? Opportunity and ideas and knowledge and information that has never been available in the history of the world. They don't have the internet in Cuba. They have it here. Right? It was amazing, actually. A friend of mine's emailing me from Tehran. Going, whoa. They're emailing from Tehran now. China emails. So the breakdown of the control of information is occurring. It's over with, actually. It's all ended. But fortunately, right here, we're in the middle of it. We got it all. We got everything anybody could ever want forever. We have all the healing sciences, all the knowledge, all the spiritual knowledge, all the information you could ever want forever. And we're just now becoming aware of it. The reason why we're here is to create an awareness of actually all the choices that we have in front of us. You might have heard Jenna say that I'm the son of 2 medical doctors. And all the years of my life, I tried to avoid that fate. I did everything I could to avoid becoming a medical doctor. It's kind of interesting. Some people are genetically predisposed for certain things. And so, what is a doctor? What is a doctor? A doctor is someone who gets in front of you and you say, I've tried everything, I have no choice. The doctor says, actually, you haven't tried anything, and you do have a choice. And here's the choices. And lays the choices bare before you. Then you, through intuition and or kinesiology, select of those choices what you feel is appropriate for you. Those choices then become mirrors that reflect back on you, educating you that you're your own guru, you're your own doctor, and you're your own nutritionist, and nobody knows your body better than you do. That's what a doctor does. So when we feel like, oh, I tried everything, you haven't tried anything. I have 4-stage cancer, I tried everything. No, you haven't. You injected your own urine? You have not tried everything. You're like, huh? Like, oh no, what? So we always have choices before us. When there's no way, there's definitely a way. There's probably lots of ways. There's so many ways. And when we come into a facility like this, a raw food restaurant, the subject of conversation is dramatically different than what's going on out there in the world. What people are talking about in raw food restaurants is really incredible. I've been to every raw food restaurant in the world. I've been deeply involved in the creation of many of the raw food restaurants in the world over the last 15 years. When I started out, there was one raw food restaurant. Now there's over 218 worldwide. Over 218. That's a pretty significant change. And when you get into raw food restaurants, you hear conversations about Ormus, about how somebody reversed 4th stage breast cancer, about how somebody got actually spiritual, which means they actually started loving themselves, loving the world, loving God, loving everything. You hear conversations about yoga. You hear conversations about radical physical transformations. You hear conversations about laughter and fun. I know that sounds impossible, but it's probably out of the question in the present state of the world, is it? You can't have fun anymore, can you? Actually, the most fun ever, right now, is possible for all of us. We actually can get in an airplane and fly anywhere. That's completely ridiculous. How many people understand how absurd that really is? Isn't that the best news ever? Machu Picchu. We're taking a group to Machu Picchu in March. You can do that. We're going to be there for 2 days at Machu Picchu. Full on. It's like the greatest playground ever. It's like when you're a kid and you're dreaming up, let me just dream up the greatest playground ever. It actually exists. It's called Machu Picchu, and you can be there. It's amazing, actually, how little thoughts that we formulate inside our mind eventually manifest many years later. 20 years ago, I was in the Whiskey A Go-Go, which is a club in Los Angeles. And I was there the night that this band, Faith No More. Anybody ever heard of that band? The drummer is my friend's cousin, so we were all friends. And so they got signed by Atlantic Records that night. And I remember being there. I was like, one day I'm going to be on that stage playing drums. 20 years later, a friend calls me up. This is just a few weeks ago. A friend calls me up and says, hey, I need a drummer. We're playing the Whiskey. Can you fill in? I was like, hey, can you get me a drum set? He's like, okay, let me figure this out. So he gets a drum set. I had to go to this guy's parents' house and pick up a drum set. That was really hilarious. In Beverly Hills. I'm just knocking on the door. I'm like, who is it? I'm like, I'm the guy here to pick up the drum set. So then I go to this guy's house, or his parents' house, get the drums, go show up at the Whiskey A Go-Go, load the drums in, set the whole thing up. This is where the Doors made it. Have you ever heard of that band? I'm on the stage. That's where Jim Morrison was on. And I'm like, I've never even heard these songs. I listened to them 3 times on the drive. And then I just filled in for the drummer. It's pretty, when you've been playing, I've been playing 20 years. So, I'm reasonably okay. Barely. I was kind of originally like Steve Martin in The Jerk. Remember that? Anti-rhythm, just... really bad. But over 20 years, I, got a little bit of soul. Raw food helped a little bit. Anyway, I'm up there this is crazy. This is a little idea that years ago I had in my mind, and there it is. Suddenly it's happening. Or last night I was thinking, we were watching this video, Supercharge Me. It's great that you put out this video. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm in there, my music's in there. And my favorite guitarist as a kid is Alex Skolnick. And his music's in that video. And I'm thinking, my music and his music are in the same movie together. That was just a little idea somewhere in the back of my mind 25 years ago. And there it is, right there. It happened last night. So little ideas that we have like that really can suddenly manifest and unfold themselves and blossom. And the next thing you know, we can achieve a radical health transformation or a radical discovery, or eventually oh my God, dreams really do come true. That realization that dreams really do come true. And in spite of the economic whatever that's going on, which is just all managed, it's not actually happening. Right? What's Wall Street is 100% emotions. So the more fear, we gotta sell everything. Sell it all. I'm getting out now. 100% emotional. In the real cycles of things, you realize it's just night is followed by day. Spring follows winter. It's just going to happen. It's just cycles. It's just okay. Everything's fine. But you don't know the natural rhythms of the earth if you're not connected to the earth. And we aren't. I mean, we're in shoes and we're in buildings and we're eating food that's been roasted, toasted, microwaved, processed, baked, pesticide sprayed, hormonally altered, genetically modified, sugarized, just to name a few things. So we're not connected to that. So we come out of rhythm of that, and then actually the raw living foods brings us back into the great rhythms of life, and that brings us into a state of not being in fear of dying, not being in fear, but being in HOPE and LOVE. Because FEAR, that's television every night. How many people watch television every night? How many people here want to admit it? I got friends of mine, and they tell me so. I don't watch that. Then when they're not, they kind of drop their gun like, have you seen this show? And blah blah blah. I'm like, oh, you're watching TV, aren't you? They're like, oh well, I just watch this one show. Yeah, I don't even own a TV. It's just like out of my consciousness completely. But it's fun to like kind of tune in on what's going on. It's a circus. It's hilarious. We used to watch like the Channel 5 LA News when I was a kid and just be on the floor rolling around. It was like the funniest, craziest thing ever. Even as a kid, we thought that. It's like this person killed that person, this happened, this death, pain, fire, destruction, despair, hate, greed. Okay. Here's the biggest story happening in town today. Right here. Where are the news reporters?
We're feeding them the video.
They're going to get that. They're going to here's bread for your head. We are now in the kind of a new era where we go, you know what, we're not going to be managed by the 4 networks or whatever that is anymore. We're our own network. We're our own positive change. We're our own positive news network. And then we go out and spread the good news, because this is great news what we're going to be talking about today. It's going to start here. This is our house in Hawaii, which is, actually it's almost like a temple. The whole bottom floor there is a bee sanctuary underneath the house. And then the second floor there has the most gorgeous view you've ever seen. And that whole thing, we pulled out all the carpets, which just contain mold, mildew, formaldehyde, God knows what's in carpets these days. Pulled it all out, put in wood. Do that at home. Get rid of the carpet, put wood in. Put wood in, all recycled wood, by the way. So it actually cost me nothing. We got all the wood for free, and there was a guy living at the house for free, and I just said, dude, come on, you gotta do something here. And he's like, okay, I'll put the floor in. So we put the floor in. Unbelievable. You just costs you nothing. How about this? The grand price of zero. This is what live food creates for you. You go out in your backyard, it's like, there's your tomatoes. They cost you nothing. There's your fruit tree. Guess what the price is? Zero. Your backyard's producing everything you need, and it costs you nothing but joy in your heart. Imagine it. So then we have that whole floor, and then up there is my room up in the front of the house up there. It's really cool. And anyway, this is our bee sanctuary, and what we do is we go and get bees out of buildings that are going to be demolished or decimated, or the exterminator is going to come in. We don't want those chemicals, do we? I mean, people say to me, like, well, I read this study, and it said that pesticides aren't really bad for us, and we don't really need to be eating organic food. It's expensive. And it's like, okay, great. I'm going to get a fire hose. We're going to fill up gasoline cans full of the top 20 pesticides, which I can show you if you want to see them. I'll show you what's in every conventional food, or every single produce, all the produce, and what Pizza Hut pizza, anything you want to see. I have the statistics right here by the USDA, what chemicals are in it. We take the top 20 pesticides, and then we'll just do, like, when you're like in college and you do the beer bomb? We're going to do beer bombs of pesticides. And we're going to see how harmless they are. We're going to see how ridiculous organic food is and how expensive it is. We'll just beer bomb pesticides. We'll figure it all out for ourselves. How's that sound? We all in that program? I think that's where we need to go. Anyway, so we're avoiding all the exterminators here. We go and we rescue the hives, and then we give them a new home. And those are their new homes. And you'll notice here, you see that image, see that little thing, that cup of that right there? And then over here, I didn't notice until I became a beekeeper that actually they feed bees whey protein. Yeah. And it's not organic. And they do this in the organic industry. They're like, really? You feed bees whey? Like, why? And they're like, oh, it's because they need protein to build the strength of the hive up. I said, well, why don't we feed them superfoods like spirulina and maca? And so that's what we do. We make a little drink out of goji berries, spirulina, and maca, and they eat it. They love it. That's what's in that cup. And that's what, so when we bring a new hive in, they got to strengthen themselves up with protein, and that's how they do it. That's how we do it. Normally, bees would go to algae on the sides of rivers and creeks, and they pick up the algae, and that's how they build up the protein. But, in this case, we do it with superfoods. So, it's really done right from the bottom up. And then we've done, if you know about ocean-grown technology, how many people know about ocean-grown? How many people know that minerals are the source and basis of all food quality? So the more geological variability that we have in our soils, the better quality food will be produced. Have you ever heard that before? This is a really important point. Well, that's what we've been doing there. We've been actually, instead of using manure in our garden, we use spirulina that we ship over from the Big Island of Hawaii. And that's our vegan, vegetarian manure, because it's like an animal, it's a plant, it's spirulina, and we brought 404 kilos of spirulina onto that property and just dosed every tree, everything. We brought every rock dust in from all over Alaska, all the rock dust, the glacial rock dust. We brought in ocean water every 2 weeks onto every tree to build up all the minerals in the soil, and now the honey has gone to black. Why? Because it's actually contained something. And I brought that honey here. And there's only a few of them. I brought there's maybe 14 of them. And that's when you see that, you want to see that? That's it right there. Black honey. That's done the right way. That's the real deal. And that 10 years of a dream come true. Finally makes it here. 10 years of a dream come true. This whole idea came to me 10 years ago, doing it this way. Finally, 8 years later, I bought that property. 2 years after that, boom, we finally got it going. It's awesome, and all the right people showed up. Everything happened. Why? Because I wrote it down. That's going to be the future. Here's how we're going to do it. To get people, and when you eat that honey, it's like this is the mana. I mean, I would right here be drinking that honey if I didn't have so few jars, because what would actually happen is somebody's going to want to beg me for that last bottle I'm drinking. I drink honey. It's called the honey drinking trick. You know about that. Drinking honey. Why? Because it's from my own backyard and it's the best stuff ever. And I know every single thing that's gone into it, and it's amazing. You can do that in your own backyard, and you can start as a raw food moron. That's where I started. I didn't know anything about anything. I didn't know about any minerals. What do you mean minerals? Yeah, I didn't know anything about, what do you mean seaweed? What is that? I have no idea about any of this stuff. But step by step, incrementally, I learned by just showing up. 80% of success, as Woody Allen said. What did he say? 80% of success just showing up. You just show up. I don't know what I'll show up to the raw food potluck. I don't know what to do. I'll come to the raw food restaurant. I don't know what it is. Let's just try it. And then gradually, it's like osmosis. You're saying oh yeah, okay. This feels good. Okay, constipation's changing. Liquid plumber can happen. For all of us. Sometimes it's too much liquid plumber. We need to kind of go the other way. But hey, it's better that things are moving than not moving. Better that the river is flowing than not flowing. And we know that when we have really a real constipation problem, as you saw in the film, like in Washington, D.C., because all those people are full of what. If we had our resident colon hydrotherapist, Diane, right here, if she was up there, we should send you up there. We put you on a mission to go help our country. We'll just put a colon hydrotherapy unit right there in the Capitol and just let her go to work.
I need a big tube.
We're gonna need barrels of toxin. We're gonna have to that's gonna be like nuclear waste disposal at that level. But that's really what's going on, right? It's like it's really what's happening is we have this constipation epidemic, that people are eating the most toxic stuff ever, and then it's accumulating, it's building up, and eventually it kind of hits the brain, and all of a sudden we have these wars going on, and just all kinds of catastrophes, and it's like, what are we doing? I mean, every single shop in this whole city is loaded to the hilt with the greatest products in the world. I mean, we never had such abundance. We couldn't even imagine it. The pharaohs couldn't have imagined it. The pharaohs could never have imagined being able to get in a vehicle, listen to classical music, sunroof down, drinking a chocolate drink that you got from Vibe Cuisine, driving down with the beach right there. That's every day for us. That's the greatest abundance in the history of the world, the greatest prosperity possible. So do you see how powerful an awareness is? To step out of doom and gloom into, oh my God, I can't even believe this. Whoa. Raw food invites in the possibility of getting into a vibrational state where it's all up and never down. It's all good and never bad. it's all good news forever. Doesn't matter what's happening in the world. And that's something that is created energetically inside yourself. And you'll notice if you've ever done any cleansing or detoxification, which is really like, unplugging everything, which causes, it's called colonics or herbal cleansing or just having movements happening or liquid plumber or whatever you want to call that, you'll notice that you can see vibrational changes in your mood. You can get really, really high, and then all of a sudden you have this weird, 3 nightmares in a row with night sweats at night. You're like, what's going on there? Has anybody ever had that experience? Like a detoxification thing and detoxification episodes don't really make sense. They can trick you. You can go, yeah, sure, I gotta stop doing this, I gotta go back, I gotta eat white bread again. Why would you want to eat white bread? What does that have to do with anything? It's like, I'll tell you one thing it does, it stops it right away. Boom, the cleansing and detoxification stops, it's like, brakes are on. And so you'll notice that, Lauren, you get like intense cravings for fried chicken. It's like, what? Now, whatever your belief system is, I can definitely think that we all could agree that fried chicken is not natural. Can we all be agreeable on that one?
Yeah.
But that will happen to you. You'll get this intense craving. I'm tasting it. I have to have it. And then all of a sudden, an hour later, it'll be gone. You'll be like, whoa, it's gone. This is part of the deal. Right. So step by step, we move out of a swamp, which is really kind of where we end up. And the swamp is where all the fetid bacteria, the viruses, the mold, all that stuff is at. And we start moving higher up onto the mountain. And eventually we get to that mountain peak where there's the cave and the spring water. And we're living on herbs. And we're just in like the high mana prana of the yogis. And this is like a metaphor for where we kind of get to. Climb out of that swamp of like, anything goes, and we got every kind of despair, cancer, disease, everything like that. We kind of get into the clean zone where it's like whew, brushed off us, whew, cleaned away, gone. And we get out of FEAR, and we get into, what's that again? HOPELOVE. That's the fun part. So that's, the reason why I put that up there is because that's a dream come true for me. What's your dream come true for you? Took me many years to get there, but one day it's like, oh, it's here. Oh, yay. Yay! I check them off. Every time I get one, I was like, yep, check that one off. I put it in my victory file. It's kind of an interesting file when I go and look back. I'm like, oh, that's cool. All right, now, I'm going to take you through some, what we call vibrational discrepancies. You want to see some seriously cool stuff? Who's ready to see the best images ever?
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay.
Wow.
Now we're going to talk about vibrational discrepancies. Now, a friend of mine, she was getting a divorce, and I said, what's going on with this divorce? And she said, oh, just, vibrational discrepancies. Oh, okay. She said, yeah, I decided I was going to have a marital liberation. Vibrational discrepancies in food. This is living food. Different types, herbs, foods, fruits, starfruit, radish, nettle, mushroom. You can see this Kirlian photography is able to capture part of the infrared, part of the ultraviolet, part of our spectrum that we can see and give us a composite image that does indicate to us a number of things. One is, food does actually have an aura. Auras do exist. I know it's impossible. That's not happening, is it? Well, on fried chicken, white bread, and biscuits, and gravy, there's definitely no aura. So you're right, there's no aura there. You can't see auras if you're doing that. There isn't any aura. Which we'll see actually, because I've got a picture of a guy's hands who's a junk food eater, and you can see there's no aura, and I got a picture of a live food eater, right? It's coming up after the commercial. So you can see right here what's going on there. We got to look at those images. Wow. Raw living food on your left, junk food
Oh my God.
on the right. Same piece of cabbage, cooked. That's all it's the only difference. That's the living cabbage on the right, the same piece of cabbage cooked on the right, or on the left, and the same piece of cabbage cooked on the right.
It's like planet Earth at night.
I'm just going to give you, look at that. Look at what we're going to be looking at here. Look at that imagery. Look at this here. Olive oil on the left, on your right, lard. Now you notice the lard still has some energy in it. What do you do with lard? Who can tell me? What's a useful use of lard?
So,
Cooking. Cooking.
You
Baking.
run your biodiesel vehicle hard. We did that. We did it for years. Drove around the country in our bus, ran on biodiesel. I mean, that was amazing. We would go behind Chinese restaurants and just open up the grease trap and put a pipe in there and suck out the grease and pump it into our tank and run the vehicle on it. Now, what that does to your awareness is radical. Why is that radical? Because you realize, uh-oh, we've been lied to. We're not getting the whole truth. What are we doing dumping grease into landfills when we could be running all the vehicles in America on the grease coming out of the back of fast food joints? Why are we doing that? And you should have seen the people that worked at these Chinese restaurants. They'd be out there smoking a cigarette, trying to figure out. We were out like, we'd have to get our grease gear on, jump out of the bus, throw the thing in there, and just pumping this stuff out. They couldn't figure it out. They could not figure out what the heck we were doing. It was like that movie Brazil. Did you ever see that movie Brazil? And there was the guy who was the renegade plumber. You know, total criminal. He was actually fixing people's plumbing. You know, violating the rules of the state. And he would literally like swing in through the window, fix the plumbing, and then jump out the window and go to his next job, all for free, just as a vigilante, because the state couldn't fix the problem. Kind of an interesting metaphor. Anyway, biodiesel, how powerful that is, just to have that awareness. We don't have to be running on this $5 a gallon diesel. We could be actually running on zero, nothing. Just don't tell anybody. You know, good thing we have freedom. That's muesli on the left. That's like what they make here. That's where you take the buckwheat, you take the seeds, and you make like a little cereal out of it. You kind of dry it. We had it last night covered with chocolate. That's what we were watching when we were watching the film. On the right is Kellogg's Corn Flakes. You'll see that's completely disappeared. Wow. There's so little energy in it, there's actually no energy. Check it out. It's not even there. Where is it? This is good for stealth technology. We should sell this to the US military. Just get the vibe so low that it's just vibe, no, it's not even there, it disappears. There's the junk food eater and the raw food eater. Okay, so on the left is the hands of the junk food eater. On the right, a raw food eater. Isn't that awesome? Mm-hmm. So is it possible to have glow, radiance, aura? Seems likely. Now, when somebody has cancer, despair, hate, disease, anger, are those related? Heart disease, where's the vibration at? It's low, right? There's no aura, there's nothing of that happening. That's why you show up at hospitals and they're like, yeah, auras don't exist. That's hippie stuff. We don't talk about that here. Aloe vera, one of my favorites. You can grow that here. Grow that in your backyard. Grow it everywhere. Grow it like crazy. That's one of the greatest things ever. We filmed in our video the other day. Jenna and I put a video together, which hopefully is going to be online pretty soon, with BK, the great keyboardist. This guy's unbelievable. I mean, I'm like passed out on a couch, like, kind of zonked after the flights and everything like that. And then all of a sudden this guy comes into Jenna's apartment and just starts playing like the most absurd. I'm like, okay, I don't see who this guy is, but I know that this cannot be happening. Because somebody who can play like that must have been playing for 50 years. There's no way somebody who can play like that must have been playing for 50 years. So I ended up meeting this guy. This guy was out. He was impossibly awesome. I mean, it was like impossibly awesome. And then we do this whole segment. We throw aloe vera, make an aloe vera smoothie, and all how to fillet it, get the gel out, do it all natural and everything like that. He's playing the keyboards behind it. I'm thinking, this is a dream come true. Anytime I get to see a musician who's been playing for 50 years, like one time my friend Ricky Podlar's been playing his guitar for 60 years, and I'm in his office. He's American American Studios, and I'm in his office. He recorded the drums for a couple of my records, and he's playing flamenco guitar, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm seeing this. I can't believe this is happening, because it is really exceptional when somebody's been playing an instrument for 50 or 60 years to be right there. So then finally I get right next to BK's like hands, like how his hands move along the keyboards. It's real magic, folks. Real magic to be able to see that. And it's right there. You don't have to be in the audience for Liberace 50 rows back. You can be right there. These people are around. Anyway, so filleting the aloe vera and this music's going on, it's like, does it get better than that? And really, actually it doesn't. That's the best ever. asparagus.
Wow.
A great one to grow in your garden. If you never heard of this or don't know what it is, asparagus grows all over every ecosystem all over the world. It's one of the most widely spread wild foods there is. And it grows really well in sand. So when you have sandy soil like what's here in Florida, that will grow really well here. Asparagus. And asparagus, not only is the top, we all know about asparagus, like the tops of it. That's great, awesome. But what about the bottoms, the roots? Asparagus root in Chinese medicine and in Ayurvedic medicine is considered in the top 3 of all herbs worldwide. I didn't know, I had no idea. I mean, this was news to me. Isn't that awesome? He's like, well, who knew this stuff? Just asparagus. Everybody knows. Is there anybody here who doesn't know what asparagus is? Never heard of it. I was on this show one time, the Rosie O'Donnell show, or the Roseanne, or one of those. I don't know. I'm in the big green room. I'm like, uh-oh, which one is this? What if I have to say her name? I'll go, okay, Rose. Go with that. So then I'm on this show and I'm thinking, okay, cool. You know, she's gonna talk about raw food. This will be a good show. So we get on the show and we get this whole thing about how you can make the equivalent of any raw food or any cooked food raw. You can make a raw lasagna, a raw pizza, raw ice cream, anything you want. Get all the taste, flavors, sensations, everything. So she's going into this thing, you know, can you make a raw sandwich? Oh yeah, you can do this, you can do that. You use flaxseed crackers as the bread, best news ever. And then she said, how about a raw Viagra? And so all of a sudden I'm like thinking, like, it was probably literally a half a second, but I thought it was 10 seconds. And I'm like, a cucumber. Complete silence in the audience. Like deafening silence. That's when I realized what kind of problem we're really in. Because I saw, I'm like, oh my God, those people in the audience don't know what a cucumber is. That never had even crossed my mind before. And then Roseanne, like, or Rosie or whatever, she saved me. She came up with something, like, got me out of that awkward moment. I'm like, oh God. That's the kind of world that we're in. I mean, people, you know, most people think that food comes from a store. People don't know what a cucumber is. You think everybody knows what a cucumber is. They don't. And something as simple as asparagus actually might have a lot going on that we don't even know about because we might be eating the wrong part of the plant, which we're eating the young tops, right? Is that everything that's there? Maybe not. Again, what we believe is far might be very close. The favorite food of every raw foodist on earth. This food has saved our lives without question. I mean, that is like the very picture of heaven right there. Because that can get you off of a lot of stuff, can it, right? Like real cheesy, gluey stuff that sticks to your rib, boom, avocado can replace it. Guacamole. I've done raw food retreats for so many years, 15 years of raw food retreats. It doesn't matter what event it is, where it is, what's going on, the guacamole goes first, gone. You have the best stuff ever out there, that guacamole, shoot. That's the one where you have to actually have someone policing it. Because the first 10 people online are like, like 3 heaping globs of it. Unbelievable. And by the way, avocado, you'll notice that the shape, if you flip it upside down, it's the exact shape of the uterus. Best food for the uterus. This is the doctrine of signatures, sign of nature. Do the math. Signature, sign of nature. So nature's always telling you what does what. And so when you look at like berries, it's all eyes, right? They're different colors because we see in color. How about that one? We see in color. Now they track this. In science, they track like, okay, where does the antioxidant go in the berry? Oh, it goes right to the eyes. Now any shaman could have told you that 1,000 years ago, like, oh, you want to see in color better, you got to eat colors. Isn't that hilarious? I really find that funny. That one's really good. Because then you can kind of crack it all yourself. Everything I say here, you can go and do the Google research yourself, go read the books, whatever, but really, ultimately, the final arbiter of it all is just common sense. that the real, like, kind of what we call in the raw food world, ruthless common sense will deliver these kind of facts to you. It's like, oh, I want to see better, I better eat berries, and all kinds of different colors of berries, and then my vision will improve. And it will. You'll see that, whoa, I remember one night I ate 5 pounds of blueberries. I love blueberries. I'm a fanatic for that stuff. So I had 5 pounds of blueberries, and I had never noticed anything from eating, really anything, like, where, like, whoa, superpowers. No. This is back about 10 years ago. So I was at a Hindu festival in Toronto, just because we're like, well, what are we going to do tonight? Well, there's like 10,000 people at this festival, let's just go there. So I'm like, having my bucket of berries, I'm just eating that all night. Kind of walking around, and there was this really good, like, drum tabla player that we saw, and just all kinds of cool stuff going on. And then one of the guys who was in our group, he was supposed to meet us at like 10 p.m. at the end of the night at a certain spot. He was one of those guys who was like always too like out of it, too stoned, too whatever. He didn't show up. So I'm like, oh God, I gotta go through this festival, 10,000 people, and find this guy. So then I go like, and I see him in a line across the festival waiting for a coconut. That's him. So I went over there and just grabbed him, like, dude, come on. And I actually had noticed that my vision improved. That was the first time I ever really noticed anything. I was like, whoa, blueberries do improve your vision, but not in the level of like a little flat that you get at the health food store. They'll help, but like if you want to make like noticeable differences, it's got to be like pounds of blueberries. Because that's like what a bear would eat, right? A bear's going to be like, when blueberries are there, a bear's going to eat all of them. Right? If you're out in the forest, you're trying to live on like what's out there. When the good food shows up, you're going to eat it all, every single thing. And that's about 5 pounds a day, so that's what it takes. And then you start noticing like, oh, whoa. Now, can you eat 5 pounds of blueberries? Definitely. Is that going to be better than like 5 pounds of popcorn, red vines, or other stuff that we've eaten before? Absolutely. I mean, I've eaten 5 pounds of Flintstones chewable vitamins probably my whole life. So we got to, I ate. The old days I eat 5 avocados in a day, no problem, par for the course for a day. That's a lot of avocados. I can't even eat one now. I'll have a handful of cashews, maybe a quarter of an avocado. But not in the old days, it was like I needed that 5 because I had an empty space that came from not having enough love for my mom and dad. Right? Because, you get on the live food and it's like, you can come in here, have the most incredible like gourmet meal, all, most incredible stuff. An hour later, 2 hours later, if you're new, you go, oh, I'm really still hungry for can we go get pizza? Is that real hunger? What is that? That's that empty space that we're trying to fill, and that's like, the lack of love that we got from mom or dad is kind of manifesting itself. And then once we fill that empty space in, raw and living foods is easy for us. So addressing those emotional issues will come up. It's going to come up. It's going to happen because food is 100% emotional social. 100%. You're not eating because you're hungry. If you actually are eating because you're like going like this, it's because your blood sugar is going down because it's hypoglycemia. That's why if you really like what is causing eating behavior, hypoglycemia. It's like, oh, my blood sugar is crashing. I need to eat something. I'm hungry. That's not hunger. That's just like you're looking for a stimulant. Like, boom, okay, anything you eat, I mentioned this morning at Whole Foods, anything you eat increases your blood sugar 30% automatically. Anything you eat. So, you start going like, oh, yeah. Some people are doing that right now. Broccoli. I used to eat broccoli and then I'd feed chunks of it to my dog, the long stem parts.
I have that.
Really good because that's the bones. Because my dogs, it was like, this is my deal with my dogs. It was like this. Yeah, you want to eat meat? Great. You have to go catch it yourself. Go catch a rat or a skunk or do whatever. I'm not feeding it to you. You got to figure that out. You're supposed to be a meat eater? Fine. Figure it out. That was an amazing experiment. I mean, I found out, first of all, my dogs would eat vegetables like bones. I mean, my dogs, I remember my baby Doberman, she was just such a sweetheart. Just the best dog I ever had. She was the runt of the litter. And I remember she almost died, and I had her in my arms. I slept with her for 2 days, and she made it. And she had this little dew claw, and she would just like eat, vegetables and stuff and chew on them, and she was just the cutest thing. She was just the greatest dog ever. And the pieces of the broccoli, the long stem parts, were her favorite bones, and she treated them like bones. She would go bury them in the yard. And a trip. Anyway, one day my dog Rocky, the brother, actually did leap from my back porch down onto a skunk and chomped into it, and the skunk missed the dog with the spray, and my dog ate the skunk. I was like, whoa! It actually happened. That was a trip. I was really freaked out because I thought, okay, he's gonna get sprayed. This is the end. I was running after him, and then I saw all that. I was like, whoa! And then another dog I had. This dog had some weird problem. It was born with some kind of genetic problem, and so it only lasted 8 months. But somewhere around seven months old, we were walking through a walnut grove, and it knew how to eat a walnut. It knew what it was, and it cracked it and ate the nut out of it. I never showed it. I couldn't believe it. I mean, just 100% instinct. That really opened my eyes up. And my dogs also showed me how to eat grass, which we'll get into. That's going to be so great. None of you will ever starve again. Because there's grass growing everywhere, all over the whole planet. You'll notice that all the animals on Earth eat it. In fact, every human eats it. But they don't know it. It's called rice. It's called wheat. It's called barley. These are seeds of grasses. Every human on the planet's eating grass every day, but they just don't know it. Isn't that awesome? Whoa. But it's only one part. It's the seed. What about the blade? That's the acid-alkaline balance simplified. Seeds are acidic, leaves are alkaline. If you're ever confused about that, because even the great quote-unquote authors in this subject area are confused about that. They send spies to my lectures to find out. Why? I mean, why are you sending a spy to my lecture? It's because they're preaching a diet that's an idealistic diet, or it's not really doable, like the alkaline diet. If you get too alkaline, you're going to get spaced out. Next you'll be like, dude. That's what happens when you get too alkaline. That's what this is. Why are people doing this? They're trying to get alkaline. As soon as you get acid-alkaline balance, which is really the goal, it's the balance of acid-alkaline, then you don't need that anymore. In fact, that'll bring you down. You'll notice too that you'll get alkaline, and then you'll get the munchies to bring you back down to balance. What are the munchies for?
Acid.
Yeah, it ain't for kale. Not getting the munchies for mint leaves. It's something else, isn't it? So that's an interesting thing about drugs and the whole thing about drugs. I mean, okay, why are people drugging themselves? Well, it's because they're acidic. And they're using alcohol, alkaloid, alkaline related. Right? Because it gives you a false sense of alkalinity, and all of a sudden back down again. Or they'll use cocaine, which is an alkaloid, alkaline, and then boom, crash again. Or they'll use marijuana because it's alkaline, crash again. They'll use coffee, it's an alkaline stimulant, then it crashes you and acidifies. Or tobacco, alkaline stimulant, crash. Right? So these are all, why do we have these things? Because we're not alkaline enough. As soon as you get acid-alkaline balance, it just falls away. Has that happened to anybody in this room? Does that happen to anybody who won't admit it? That is a piece of raw cacao powder. That is not the mothership. That is not a nebula exploding. That is happening right here in a bottle right on that table over there. Every speck of cacao powder is actually that. That's living foods. That's a little bit different than, fried foods. I know it sounds hard to believe. Do we have to go back to that picture? You want to see that picture again? Look at this. Just look at this again. Have you ever been to New York? Who's been to New York here? You know when you're in the subway and you look out the window when you're going through those tunnels? Does that look like that? It's like some kind of dismal, really dark image. You're like, what is that? What's in it here? And then this over here, this is cosmic paradise over here. Again, just going to give you a brief rundown. Look at these images. This is so unbelievable. The cow powder, look where we're at. Now we're into herbs. When you get into herbs, it goes over the top. You know, I deal in only the most powerful herbs in the world. Why? Because, you know, herb number 743 is off the list. Who cares? Are you really going to like freak out and just have to have herb 1018? Do you even need to know what that is? No, never. Then forget about it. What do you need to know? How about the top 10 in the world? That's more than enough for your whole life forever to live in perfect health forever. Right? If you have the top 10 herbs in the world from every system, you don't need to ever worry about anything ever again. Do you? Right? If you had ginseng, goji berry, reishi mushroom, maitake mushroom, astragalus, palo d'arco, cat's claw, chanca piedra, nettles, you're good. You don't need anything ever forever. Why can I rattle that off like that? Because I actually eat them. I always am just completely alarmed when I talk to herbalists who don't actually take herbs. I'm like, what? I don't get that. I'm like, what? Huh? Like, I actually grow herbs. Like, in my garden, the whole goal is, let's get, lettuce is cool, tomatoes great, awesome, but, that's kind of a sideshow. Where it's really going is, let's get the most powerful herbs ever in there, like ginseng. Let's get ginseng. I got Siberian ginseng. I got 5 of them into my garden this year, finally. Boom, they're in the ground now. They're in there. So now I can come back 20 years, and guess what's going to be there? And I can eat ginseng berries. They produce a berry. It's good. It's edible. It's like, whoa, let's have that. You see how, that's where we all need to go with this whole thing. It's not that we're going to be growing like lettuce and tomatoes. That's all good. But if we can have the best in the world, please, let's have it. You can take goji berries off that table right there, and it's 100% sproutability. 100% of them will grow. That's ridiculous. You cannot order any seeds off the internet anywhere. You're lucky you get 30% organic seeds, or 80%, is like crazy, like really good. How about 100% sproutability? You take those, boom, break the seeds out, plant them into little things, get them going in your house. When they get about that high, take them outside, plant them in your garden. You have goji berries growing right here in South Florida, all you want forever. And they grow great in sand.
What's the age of...
2 years they're going to be producing fruits for you. And reasonably, if you give them some good nutrition, ocean grown, and a little bit of carbon in the soil, build up the blackness of the soil, and then you're going to have the best food ever. And tons of it. And then you can literally take them, clip them, and clone them. You could have 100 goji berry bushes like that, or just plant 100. And in fact, I would recommend that if you're going to plant these and start growing them, just don't start with 3, start with 30, start with 100. Go crazy, go for tons of them.
Do you have to dry the berry first to get the
No, it's already ready to go. All you have to do is just literally, you don't even have to do anything. I'm raw-hearted like everybody else. Just put the goji berry in the ground like that. Just stick it in this, how you poke your finger in the soil. Just do that, cover it up with a little soil, and you're ready to go. You don't even have to break the thing open.
Are they a bush or are they tree or what?
They're like a bushy vine. So if they're near like a tree, they'll kind of vine into the tree. If they're by themselves, they become a bush. We're going to look at pictures. Yeah, it's going to be fun.
Would you then take the ocean water or whatever?
Yeah, then you use dilute ocean water, ocean grown, right? Why would you do that? Well, the ocean homeopathically, when it's used homeopathically, ocean water. How much ocean water is out there?
3/4 of the Earth's surface.
enough?
Enough. That's a good answer. There's enough for everybody. Ocean water homeopathically heals all soil mineral imbalances. That's the way the earth has been set up. So when humans go crazy and kill each other, there's all kinds of wars, despair, and disease, which is really a mineral deficiency crisis. I'm going to say that again just so we're totally clear. When humans go crazy, kill each other, beat each other up, civilizations fall, crushed down to nothing and dust and all that, really that's just a mineral deficiency crisis. That's all that is. Civilization is caused by mineral deficiencies, if you really want to know. Yeah, I'm just putting that out there. You can discover that for yourself. The whole reason why we even have civilization at all is because we became mineral deficient and started clumping together because we couldn't get along by ourselves. And we couldn't be independent. We didn't have the knowledge or the strength or the willpower or the fortitude because we were demineralized. And next thing you know, we're into civilization. Next thing you know, we got nuclear weapons. It starts from somewhere. Where does it start from? Where does the break happen? Well, the break is with mineral deficiencies. How do we get our minerals back? It's the easiest thing ever. You go to the ocean, you get a 5-gallon